Mm-hmm. All right. We back. Everybody make some noise. This might be risky. Episode 5. Got some dope topics tonight. The panel look a little different, but we're trying to find the right mix of people. And of course, you'll see some old friendly faces. All right, let me bring the panel up. Q was good.
What up? What up?
Alex was shaking. Alex, they can't hear you. Wave. You can say something. Say hi.
Hey y'all.
He was popping.
Hola.
Hey,
Hey, you don't speak Spanish.
And you're mad about it.
Kadi was good.
What's up?
No doubt. So you'll see a couple familiar faces coming up soon. I'm not really a proponent of using this terminology, but they on nigga time. So I humbly apologize.
Mhm.
Ooh, nigga number one.
Corey.
Put him in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here.
Yo, where you coming from? You a truck driver?
Nah, fool just got a hoodie on. What are you talking about?
With a headset.
Oh,
You look like you work at a call center. Bell South?
I mean, I don't know where I put my headphones at.
You got dial-up internet?
Uh, AOL America Online.
Mm.
I got
Where's
3
your
hours left, so
2.9?
y'all gonna have to make this short.
Oh my goodness. Everybody, welcome to panel. And Corey, we appreciate you taking your break while at work to come join us.
No problem.
All right, so I'm feeling good, man. I'm getting over a little cold and shit, but seeing all these friendly faces, it gave me some energy. You know, so I want to say thank you and I appreciate y'all. Like I said, a couple people run a little bit late, but they'll be here shortly. So first topic, and again, this might be risky. Um, you know, I live in like kind of like Northeast DC District Heights, right? And so in the community over here, it's liquor store, carry out, church. Liquor store, carry out, church. So aside from that, very very detailed analysis. Throughout some of my other research, I came to this conclusion that the black church is one of the worst constructs in our community, and it has failed our community. Agree or disagree, Alex? What's up?
Oh, you have to start with me. I don't agree. I don't agree. I wouldn't compare the liquor store, and the carry out to church. You'd have to expand on that a little bit more. How you're comparing those two together.
Okay, fair. So not comparing them, but these are what we have in our community, right? They're always there. They always exist, and yet nothing changes. Our communities are always at the bottom, right? The church is always the biggest, most beautiful place in the community, but the community often doesn't reflect what the church appears to be in aesthetics. Uh, and just in terms of us, with them preaching the prosperity gospel, we're not prospering. They're not telling a lot of truths in there. And I just painted the picture because it's liquor store, carry out, church. Consistent, but our communities don't change.
Mm.
What Caddy?
Um, I agree with you. That's almost one of the main reasons I kind of had to move out of DC. Like it was really disturbing to see a liquor store across from each other and then a church right smack dab in the middle. I think the black church serves a purpose, but it hasn't been purpose driven as far as like the impact, the positive impact that it could really have on the black community. I think sometimes we use it as a crutch. We rely so much on faith that we don't necessarily feel the need to do or apply action. Um, yeah, so yeah, there's a lot more I could say, but you get the gist.
So to clarify, you be like when people say give it to God, that's the bullshit.
Um, to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, I think we rely on faith, we rely on prayer a lot, and we don't necessarily feel the need to also apply that pressure to accountability and to action. So I think there needs to be balance, and we really don't have balance because we rely a lot on, yes, let's give it to Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, and I just want to, Corey. I know you made a face, so we're gonna let you go. But I just wanted to give, make sure the people understood what she was coming
Yeah.
from. Go ahead.
Well, I think the initial question was like, has the black church failed our community or something like that?
Hmm.
Is that what you had asked?
Yes, sir.
Or something, something? Well, I think my answer to that would be no. And I think that the problem is that your expectations for the black church were probably too high in the beginning, and you wanted them to be like the one stop shop to like resolve the community's issues, and I don't think that's what a church is or should be. So I think the church is there just for a place for spiritual worship and fellowship, and as long as it serves that purpose, then it meets the definition of what a church should be. Now, all the other stuff that you want the church to be, is probably just going above and beyond, and that's not necessarily what a church is or what it should be.
Okay. Fair. P, what you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Corey. Like originally, when the way you phrased it, I didn't see the correlation. Like liquor stores and churches don't go together.
Yeah.
Um, and all of what I'm about to say, you can take it with a grain of salt because I was raised Catholic.
Hmm.
So my relationship with the black church is really coming from my clients that I work with now, and I'm only going to say a church is as strong as its members, so you can't really expect the building and the art of church to do something for the community. The community has to want and do for themselves. That goes back to accountability, and that goes back to pulling yourself up by the bootstrap. You can't just wait and pray it away. That's the biggest failure that I think the black church has done.
Okay. Q, what you think?
This might be risky. So I'm gonna have to say that I kind of see the point that you might have been trying to create there, in that if you really think about the black church and who wrote the narrative for the black church and how it kind of does not feed the black community spiritually. I can see then where the liquor store and the church go hand in hand in things that were created by people that are not us. That's not necessarily designed to see us prosper or have us go to a higher level within society. So that's just my take. And I think that there is some failure there. I think if there's been failure, I think there is still failure. Because we have a codependency on the preacher
Yeah.
and on Jesus and on the devil. So it takes away that accountability. I think somebody mentioned that. It takes away that accountability in the spiritual realm. So that's just my take on it.
Okay. Hey, let's welcome Shaun to the show.
Put him in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here.
Well, that's Shaun.
What do you think? And make it quick. Okay.
I didn't catch what the topic was. Is
Look,
is it the faith
yeah.
in the black church?
So
What did I?
you don't get to respond because you're late, but we'll at least fill
I'm
you.
talking and I'm here, so I'm going to respond. So
I got controls. I can say. Remember that? Remember I told you this is a mute button.
Don't do Sean like that. Don't do Billy D like that. Billy D got something to say.
When you hear that, all right, it's the difference. So But now, Sean. So we Billy. So we was talking about. I just kind of painted a picture. I don't know if I did a great job at it, but liquor store, Alex.
What?
Liquor store, carry out church. Often what's in our community, and so I just kind of painted a narrative, or to say that the church, the black church, has failed our community. So, um, Corey and Pierre kind of had points to where it was like, well, we're asking maybe too much of the church, and I don't want to mischaracterize what you guys say, but kind of asking for too much. We're supposed to get what we're supposed to get out of it. Um, but Caddy made a point that just said kind of, well, you know, we always go there, right? We're not striving because we always say give it to God, and we try to pray away our issues. So we kind of had some contrary points. I tend to agree with Caddy a little bit, and I think you heard what Q said. Alex also asked me to clarify because I didn't do a good job of illustration. Now, gotta keep it a G, right? So only thing, Corey, right? They
Mhm.
asked us for our money, though. They asked us for our money. They asked us for our time. We all got to help at the food bank. You know what I mean? The church has a building fund, right? So it's taken from the community. But you're saying it's only supposed to be a place of worship. It's not supposed to be place of service.
Mhm.
Well, so when I didn't say it wasn't supposed to be a place of service, but what is that like? What level of service? So you're talking about like food drives, right? Like that's service. But if you're talking about like fixing the economics of the community, like the church isn't really built for that type of task. We have other entities in the community that are more suited for helping out in that than the church.
Like
You
what?
know, the pastor isn't a businessman. He's a man of God,
Yes,
so
he is a businessman.
he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. That's not his calling.
Couldn't be.
So to ask him to step into like business roles and maybe provide jobs and help figure out the economic ills of the community is probably not his expertise.
Hmm.
It's also not a requirement to give money.
That's that too, that as well.
Well,
Nobody's
tell
making you
that
give
to
your
every
check.
church on Sunday when it's time for tithe, building
Tithes
fund,
and
and
offerings.
Well, it's
the
not a
choir
requirement. They
fund.
add,
But
they
again,
add,
unless
they
they're
ask you to
putting a gun to
give.
your head, or they're, what is that, garnishing your wages, you don't have to give. You choose to
That
give.
that's a fact.
Hmm.
You
Now,
can go to the church that you want to go to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now, if you, well, see, here's one thing about that point, P. Um, we usually shop, eat, right, in proximity to us, right? So yes, there's a lot of churches, but what if you don't have the means? What if you take public transportation? It may be churches in proximity to you, one, and you can respond, and then two, tithing. Oftentimes, because people don't read for themselves and don't understand, they tell you that you have to tithe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sin not to tithe. So then, how would you respond to those two?
Well, again, as an adult, if you don't have the means to go or do extra credit things, you probably shouldn't be donating your money to the church. The church will be all right. Speaking from personal experience, because that I've seen, your pastor drives a Bentley, you are literally pouring water out the window because you don't have indoor plumbing, but you still give your checks. That is on you. I don't feel the sympathy. I have no empathy. You chose to do that. Now, what your church can do for you, do churches run soup kitchens and all that stuff? Sure, they can, but like, I the onus for me, the onus is always going to be on the individual. Why didn't you read your Bible? Why didn't you know? Again, make executive choices. If I decide I want to go to the bar and spend all my money and now I don't got rent money or I can't pay my mortgage, guess what happened? I made that choice though.
I
Okay.
think I think too. Now that I have some clarity here, um, on the point you were trying to get to, just summing it up and agreeing with everyone, I think we depend on the church too much, and faith without work is dead. So I feel like church is not, it should not be my place that I'm going to go to because I need my bills paid or I need this. Like my journey into the church or why I go there is for personal reason, to fulfill my spirit or whatever in that aspect, whatever that means to people. However, I think we are setting, I think a lot of times we set unreal expectations on the church and on not even just the church, but services in general. And then when they don't do what we think they're supposed to do, we're upset. So that's just how I feel about it when it comes to the church. And we have a choice to go there, as P mentioned. If the spirit moves you to want to tithe and give your offering, go ahead. For me and myself, if I don't have it, I can't give it. If I don't have the money, I may go ahead and volunteer to do something to help out the church in some other way. But we have to change our expectations for what it is that we're looking for when it comes to the church, and that's
So
different for everyone.
I feel that expecting, for your tithes to help cover a bill that you may be short on or something that you may need. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that that's an expectation that's unrealistic, because if you really think about it, the church is a nonprofit organization. So where does your taxes? You can't file taxes on your tithes. So where does that money really go? If you think about it over the course of 10 years, we got a lot of grandmothers and mothers that have been pouring tithes in the churches for years, and their grandkids and kids can't really go and get a sufficient amount of funds for even a scholarship. So who getting that money? So
Well,
I
I
don't think
mean,
that that's
to answer that question, the money could be going
expectation at all.
anywhere. I mean, you go to church sometimes. The choir got new robes every week. They got a 100-inch projector screen above the pastor that they playing the service on. They got a fancy sound system back there, so that money could be going anywhere as far as the production of church. If you choose to go to a church like that, or it could be going wherever. But just because you paid your tithes, don't mean that they now owe you to pay your rent or your electric bill when you don't have it. Like that's not what it is. It's not a savings account, right? That's not what it's intended for.
However, however, the expectation shouldn't be that far fetched either.
Hmm.
You should be expected to have them pour back into you what you poured
Yeah.
into them.
Religiously, not financially, though.
Well,
Correct.
I,
Right?
I
But they're
think it.
I'm,
coming
I'm
for your
expecting them
finances.
to pour
They're coming for your
spiritually into me.
finances. Could you pour 10% of your talents into the church and that be okay? If
I
everybody
absolutely believe
money
that. Yeah, for sure.
and just we gonna
Yeah,
build because we got builders, we got contractors. The women are gonna clean because they're good cleaners. No
absolutely.
church would function like that.
They could. They absolutely could function like that. They
They
don't want to
could,
function
right?
like that because they want to be more than, because we've kind of made church to where it has to be like this big fancy production. So they got to have a lot of extra stuff, bells and whistles. But none of that's necessary. We could have church in the park, on the grass, and we don't even need ties. We don't need no money. We don't need anything. We could
With
just
two
we
or
could just
three gather in
we,
his
we
name.
we could share the word, and that's
That
church.
part.
Right, but because you want to have that fancy building, you want to have salt seats, and you want to, have all the other stuff, then we got to take tithes.
Or
I
even better, like
mean,
let's ask a real question. How many of these pastors that have these churches in these neighborhoods live in the actual community? Because I guarantee in this area they live in Upper Marlboro. They live in Virginia. They don't live, or they live in Upper Northwest, but they don't live in District Heights. They don't live in Oxon Hill. They don't live in Southeast for sure.
But that's even like the business owners of the liquor stores. They have their business here because I know these individuals are going to frequent my business, but I don't live here.
yeah, I think we're talking about the church like it's any other for-profit entity. Like, I mean, the church is supposed to be a pillar of the community. The Black church specifically is supposed to be the pillar of the community, and it's supposed to be a place of service. And a pastor's responsibility is to lead the congregation, not just spiritually, but also mentally too. And we know pastors have political views. Pastors have social views. Like, it's not like their perspectives are solely specific to the Word of God. And I just feel like as Black people, we have a tendency to not hold the church accountable because we want to keep it sacred as a place where we can go and worship, but not expect the church to do more for our community. And I think it absolutely should be expected, because the reality of it is when anything happens in the world, when there's a George Floyd, when there's a Trayvon Martin, we rush to the church, we rush to God and say, "Oh, well, God save us." or God help us. And then, after that, we pray about it a little bit, and then, it just kind of falls flat. But I feel like if there was more activism tied to the church, that we would make more forward movement, especially socially, as it relates to issues that's tied to like what's affecting us. I think it really holds us back. And I mean, me personally, I have had bad experiences with churches. I grew up Pentecostal. I've seen my mom tithe every Sunday, give her last, skip out on paying the mortgage. And me looking at her like, why are you doing this? Like, we can't even pay our bills. And then when it came down to her asking, the church, or asking the pastor, can you help us out? We're 4 months behind on our mortgage. The pastor was like, well, no, we can't. And there was no real solid reason as to why. It was just they did not feel the need to. And there are churches, not all churches, because there are absolutely churches that do, give back to the congregation. But there are a lot of pastors out here that are self-serving and that are about profiting their pockets and not necessarily sharing the message that needs to be shared in a way that's productive or constructive. That's
Oh,
But see, I think you run the risk of that being commonplace, which it is now,
Check,
because
check. Can
there's
you hear
no
me?
boundaries. Like, you're not setting any boundaries. You just said, like, the church is supposed to be, yes, a pillar of the community, great. But if you're going to the church for your mental instead of a psychologist or a therapist, if you're going to the church for financial gain or financial assistance instead of your social service department, or whatever the case may be, there are many, then you have now blurred the boundaries of what church is supposed to be. Church is a religious place that
facts.
is supposed to be for your spiritual, if that is what you believe. When you start to, like, it's really just another crutch to say, I don't need to take accountability because I have the church. I can go to the church. I need the church to help me out. No, at the end of the day, all you have is you in your community, sure, but at the end of the day, all you have is you. If you cannot make sure your foundation is stable, then you don't need to be leaning on the church. The church is going to get their money. And it's come like, we're not required to tithe that in my church, right? Never have. Now, do they do collection plate? Sure. It's gonna go around once, you put it in, you don't. We don't care. The church is always going to be paid. It's a nonprofit building. There's no taxes. The priest is going to get whatever stipend he gets from the Vatican. We ain't got to pay the priest. Your pastor, that's not the case. Some pastors do work. Got pastors that work at my school. But again, ask yourself this: do you normally just give money to people because they say they're running something? Like, do you not do the research before? Or do you just blindly have that faith and saying, oh my God, you really are supposed to be this place of worship for me. Let me go ahead and invest in you, knowing that I'm not going to get a return on my investment.
So, real quick, let me just make sure Fairy Styles can get a word in. A lot of great opinions. I know you fill up your chest with air, so I know I'm gonna give you the opportunity.
Uh, I'm confused a little bit by everybody's point. A little, I thought the church was the place where you were supposed to be practicing for eternal salvation,
Mhm.
uh, the fundamentals of love, discipline, child rearing, financial hardships. Like, everything was supposed to be geared through the church. I mean, I understand what you're saying, P and Corey, about not having
Why
your
did you? Why did you?
finances
Why
in.
did you think that?
I'm
Why did?
Let
Why
me
did you?
finish. Stop
My
talking.
bad.
Let me
I'm
finish.
sorry. My bad.
What I was saying, P and Corey, I'm not disagreeing with you, but there are financial lessons in the Bible. There are biblical lessons for you to learn how to deal with your disciplines or lack of. I mean, that's the intent of the
Mhm.
Bible. It's a it's a foundational guideline. It's a framework for you to live your life, not just religiously, but in love, in family, in uh, care and concern for your neighbor. I mean, everything. That's what the church is designed for. And has the church gotten away from that? Of course. I think the black church has had the ear of the black community since its onset. What they did with it, I don't agree with, because they lost the community uh, with time and mega churches and the money aspect behind it, right? I think they've lost the ear, especially of our generation, the millennial, right? We're a little bit further away than our parents and grandparents were, but to think that we don't get lessons from every aspect of life from the church, that's not what it was designed for. It was designed to give us life lessons about everything. So I don't disagree that they have drifted from that, but that is the intent of the church.
I would have thought the intent of the church was to be a place of worship. And if you're telling me that you can get these lessons from the Bible, your Bible should also say somewhere in it, that's all you need is the Bible. You don't need somebody to give that to you. So now why do you need a church at all? If
But
what you're
but
going to go, if what your foundation and your argument is going to be, the Bible says we get all these lessons, we can get it from the Bible. Why do you now need a church? And why
Well,
why do you
it's the same
think
reason
that's
why
less?
you need it's the same reason why you need a school. You can go ahead and purchase books and learn about psychology, but a pastor is supposed to be a subject matter expert on the Bible, the same way a psychologist is supposed to be a subject matter expert on psychology. So you can read and learn and educate yourself on your own, but it also helps to have some place where you can actually learn lessons in a collective manner from someone who's supposed to be ordained by God Himself.
from the Bible,
Mhm.
to teach from the Bible, but not to teach you your financial lesson.
But
Financial
there,
literacy does not come from church nor the Bible.
but there are financial lessons that are taught through parables in the Bible. So I mean, there are financial lessons in the Bible. There are relationship lessons in the Bible. There are work lessons in the Bible. There are how to deal with people. There's so many different lessons that you learn from the Bible outside of just praising God and how to get to heaven.
And that's something that I was curious about, just on the responses that P and Corey have. When you guys speak about the church, are you talking about the physical building being the church, or are you talking about the spirituality and religion being the church?
It's one and
Uh,
the same for me.
Yeah, it is for me too. But I think one of the things that I find that happens in these conversations is now we start talking about not the church, we start talking about like the black church. And this is because this is really like the only church that asks its pastor to do these things. We don't find like any other like ethnic group asking these
That's
this of
because
their church.
our ethnic group is rooted in the church.
Thank you.
But no, so no, no,
That's
everybody has.
why that it's
Uh,
rooted in the
uh,
church. The
all,
church
all,
would.
all ethnicities have church and religion.
I didn't
Not
say they.
like us.
I don't say
They
they
led us
didn't.
through
I don't say
slavery
they
with the
didn't.
Bible.
If you have friends from different cultures or different ethnic backgrounds, do
They
their
all go to church.
grandparents quote scripture when they about to do something good or bad to you?
I'm not sure
No,
how that relates to this point,
no,
but
no.
uh,
I'm just saying that.
my point is, other people seem to view church as in the way that me and P are talking about, in a place to come get spiritual uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
And but the black church is where you come and get all your needs met. So like maybe we as a people are asking more of that entity
Yes.
than we should be asking. And we have to ask ourselves, why do other races and ethnicities not ask this of their church?
Because
Because
they're actually
their
doing that.
community structure is already in place.
Right. I was
We
gonna
Get
we
your
say,
don't have the
community
same
structure in
structure,
place. I mean,
huh?
I say get your community structure in place. Have entities that are responsible for the things that you need,
mhm,
that specify, that are experts in whatever the thing you need is. So you don't have to ask the church to be everything
That
for you.
that
Yeah,
one stop
we've
shop.
Yeah.
we've tried that. There's coalitions for everything in the black community.
All right.
but
There's
Well,
only
people
one.
who
those
go
So
to
why,
church
so
coalitions.
why
for
are we not
different
relying on
reasons,
those
though.
coalitions like we rely on the church?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
why
I,
is this
I
expectation
P,
about the church and not those
P,
coalitions
I
directly?
agree with you, P. I think that we should rely on those coalitions, right? I really do. But our history dictates otherwise. I mean,
So
But how
and
long are we gonna go on history before we start? It's 2021. Like at what point do we say, okay, this isn't working, move forward?
right.
well,
There are other ways.
I
People have
think
shown
that
us other ways.
to answer that question, P, I think that when, as a collective, we start believing in these individual coalitions and putting faith and dollars behind it, then I think our influence can come from somewhere else. But until then, there's only one place the black dollars go every Sunday.
Hmm.
There's only one place. Until someone else can have a board of black delegates to help sway our opinion on things, that's the one
But
place
when you
that
give your
has the.
black dollars to the black church, like what do you expect in return? I don't expect any financial return on that money from my church. I'm giving out of the kindness of my heart so that they can do things around the church, so they can have equipment, so they can have cleaning supplies, so they can do whatever. I don't expect any sort of financial return on that gift. Like
but
But
why do
Corey,
you?
Corey, you're speaking from a practical standpoint, but a lot of Christians in the black church don't come from a practical standpoint. They believe that by paying tithes they will be rewarded monetarily, and that's
Right.
not accurate, right? But that's what it's believed.
And that's
That's
also
the
what's preached.
Right.
exactly, exactly, and that's the drift in the community with the church, right? Because
Yeah.
people are getting to a point now, like, wait a minute, like you said, Caddy, my mom, my grandma paid tithes and offerings forever, and I saw candy money go in the offering plate, like we ain't even got lights on at home,
Yeah.
Well, see, I think
you
I
know.
think people in the black community, and there are multiple, I guess, sort of subsets of types of black churches, and one of them is like a prosperity church where they do preach that sort of thing. But if you go into that sort of church, I mean, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. Like
Correct.
they are misleading and misrepresenting that process
Real,
of church to you.
real quick. One, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If you back up from the mic,
Am I too loud? Am I too loud?
Yeah, turn your mic down, man.
Right. Well, one, I think. See, the interesting thing about the conversation is, it's like nobody's wrong, right? Because what Corey and Pierre are saying is valid, right? That should be, but remember the key, and maybe I should have worded it better. The construct of the black church is why our people, we can't really hold them to the same standards. Like, how much do they know? How learned are our people, especially in the communities where it's liquor store, church, right? So yes, the people in Upper Marlboro, the big church that you might go to, Corey, yeah, maybe they're learned, they have understanding, but by and large, we're not all situated like that, you know. And it is taught in the church, and if people did read the Bible for themselves, like P said, they probably would not be in that mindset. But also in the Bible, it does say very directly that you need a preacher, you need a scribe, you need, even Jesus said he would expound on the word after he read it. So there were places in the Bible where we had scribes and Pharisees that would help discern the book itself. So interesting conversation. I feel like I can go on and on. And the funny thing is nobody's wrong, but if we piece it together, I think we could probably get out of that shitty hole that we're in. That I think the church does contribute somewhat to. So very, very decent job by all of you guys. Um, okay, this might be risky. Episode 5. Thanks everybody from joining in. We got some viewers. Like, share, subscribe. I'm having a hard time saying subscribe. I'm getting better at it. So I want to applaud myself
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's called self-esteem, not we esteem. So, um, so London and I. London is 12 now. That's my oldest daughter, and she was 6, and so we're in Safeway on Benning Road, right? And so there was a gentleman in there who was dressed like a girl. So he was transgender or transsexual, whatever the term was. This is 2014, so back when you could be honest and say that what things that you wanted to say. So she comes up, she said, "Daddy, that's a boy, right, Daddy?" I said, "Yeah, that's a boy." She like, "Can I get some candy?" Yeah, she was done with it. Ran down the candy hall, right? Got her candy. So the dude come over to me, say, "I don't identify like that, right?" We had a little back and forth. Basically, I said, "You think I'm gonna ruin the rest of her understanding at 6 years old for because you decided to change your mind?" I said, "As a daddy, I can't."
Look at P.
So fast forward, right? That's 2016, right? Now, pronoun is something that is obviously recognized at this juncture, especially much more than 2016. Um, do we have an obligation to recognize them? Like, are we obligated to call people what they want to be called? It's a question. Pierre, go ahead. You can start.
no, no, no. We got back here. We just got here. Um, the short answer of it, do you have an obligation to respect somebody? Absolutely. Do you have an obligation to treat a human like a human being?
Hmm.
Absolutely. Because calling them whatever, one doesn't mean that you have to agree with it or that you believe it. They've let you know what they want to be called,
Hmm.
right? Like that is the long and short of it. Do I agree that you identify as this when I believe in your chromosomes? Absolutely not. But I'll call you by your name. If I'm
So you'll
writing
call them.
documentation, I gotta write the documentation how you prefer to be called, right? That's a legal thing for me now.
Hmm.
Wait, so you said you would call them by their name, but I think Hamster was talking about like, if they want to be called
Their pronouns, it's the same thing.
okay.
When
I
in
mean,
doubt, address someone directly as their name.
like for me, it's more about again, if I don't know many people outside of the places that I work where it's like I like to be called this, right? Or I am a therapist. I will ask my clients, how do you prefer to be like what are your pronouns? How do you prefer to be called? Because that's affirming this individual that I see in a place that in a world that probably won't, right? That is my role as a therapist. That is my role as a good person. Ask me what my personal beliefs are. We can have that conversation off camera. Like, I mean, and that's what it is.
Okay.
Agreed. Um, as I said before, I'm in the realm of healthcare, and when I think of an individual, like the genetic and biological makeup of an individual when it comes to documenting and your physical health, that is one thing. However, what you want to be addressed as, you let me know, and I'm going to respect that. Whether I agree with it, whether I understand it, um, that's a whole sub layer, but I want to make sure that I'm always being respectful to the individual, especially when I'm trying to have a conversation or I'm trying to find information. I do not want the individual to not feel safe or comfortable or feel like, you know what, they don't respect me. So anything that I say from this point moving forward, they're not hearing me because they don't see me the way that I want to be seen. Um,
But just let me ask you a question, right? So yes, I get it, right? You're at work, right? You have an obligation, right? But this is I'm not risky when I'm at work. It's not the show, right? There, right? So I'm asking you, right? Right. So was I? Let me all right. Let me phrase it like this: was I wrong for telling the guy what I told him 5 years ago? Because I didn't. I said you're a guy, you're a man, right? Right. I'm telling my daughter. She asked me. He said I shouldn't have said that. I'm like I can't do that to her. That's my priority, right? So what is that? Let's use that. That way you don't have the pressure. So let's use that example. All right, since you don't want to be risky.
That goes
Hey,
back to your integrity.
Huh?
but let me chime in. So I just changed my screen name to Master Corey since y'all like calling people whatever they want to be called. Key and Alex, hey, refer to me for the rest of this episode as Master Corey, or I might be offended.
okay, Master
Um,
Corey.
so I just wanted to throw that in there just in case y'all didn't see the update. But that's the only thing I'm gonna answer to. But yeah, y'all continue.
I think in that situation, I mean, the gentleman could have. I wonder what you would have done if he had that conversation with you in front of your daughter and he disagreed with you right then and there. Because then there's an exam, then there's an opportunity for you to, or not even that in that moment. Like, did you have the conversation with your daughter afterwards? Because that's not going to be the first time she's maybe presented in that situation because she
Yes.
goes to school. She's outside in the world. So you don't have to agree with it. But if that man told you, or however he identified, he told you, hey, that's not how I prefer to be called. That's not how I identify. I would respect it if X, Y, and Z. What was the need to go back and forth with him about?
Oh, it's my daughter. Right. You guys hear me? So check, check, check.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's my daughter. You know what I mean? And so at 6, I have to protect it, right? So, per usual, right? She identifies a man, right? I'm gonna let her know, yes, that's a man. Like, do I want to put that in her mind at that younger age? Will she understand it? Right, what she understands and what is biologically correct. I want to make sure she understands what she sees is actual. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really about him. It's just about like me kind of thinking, just very like it was like this, boom, 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 right? What happened, but just I thought through it in that instance.
So the
That would have been my
alternative
reaction
viewpoint,
too.
well,
Say again, sorry.
the alternative viewpoint for me would have been that was a teachable moment to teach tolerance. Like your daughter is smart, she's not dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Children are not natively dumb, right?
Hmm.
You can say, okay, pull it to the side, learn to read. That's a man, he prefers blah blah blah. It is what it is, right? Cool. Because in the same way that we're having this conversation about pronouns and he, she, we, whatever, that's the conversation that was had about the gays. That's the conversation that's still happening about the gays. That's the conversation about the blacks. That's the conversation about like any marginalized group. You can just replace it and say, do I use this to say I don't agree with you? Like, what is the purpose of me arguing with you? Sure, okay. Sir, ma'am, whatever, got you, heard you. Blah, blah, blah. Just what it is. Privately, right? You have now affirmed that person's dignity and
Hmm.
still been able to teach your daughter that these people exist. Is she gonna come against it again? Unless you're gonna keep her in a box, like she's going to see it again. And these are the type of like these are the scenarios that happen when we teach the kids. Well, fuck, forget them. Like they don't matter, and that's with anything, not just the transsexual or transgender. Gotta get the right term. Like it's with everybody.
Can
So
you
that's
guys hear me?
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to talk and shit, and my mic was on muted. Um, but no, I just wanted to say, I think that what it really comes down to is this: was Hamp out of line for what he did? No. Are you out of line, P, for or Alex for, you know, respecting them? No. I don't think that there is a way that you can be proper about something like that. Because on one hand, if you show that level of respect, now we create this idea that in society there are no boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like if we just wake up today and decide we want to have sex with animals and normalize that, we can do that because we've gone this far with forcing people to say that I was born a boy. They can see that I'm a boy, but I want to be called a girl, so they have to call me that. So we have to. It's a fine line.
Hmm.
So I feel like if Hamp felt obligated as a parent
Hmm.
to speak truth to his daughter from his perspective and say, no, that's what you need to do, then he's right in that. And
Hmm.
he has the right to do that. Um, I lived a homosexual life for a very long time, and still in the homosexual community. And well, I guess I would consider it lesbian because there's all types of rules. Like if you're a woman, you can't be gay, whatever. So um, with that being said, I was married for some time, and in that marriage, I had a son. And I remember my then wife and myself at that time teaching our son, two women being together is not natural. Two men being together is not natural. We chose to teach him that because at the end of the day, I don't necessarily want my son to be gay. But there's like this idea in society that we have to have, like if you don't go along with the rules that and I'm going to say it, the LGBTQ community creates, then you're automatically a hater or you're automatically against them, and it's like, no, live and let live.
Yep.
So I don't think you did shit wrong. If he was born a nigga, the nigga was a nigga. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I struggle with calling people. I don't feel, it doesn't come natural to me to be like she or girl, and I can see you're a guy. That does not come natural to me for me to call you that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
each his own. But
I
y'all
think
dead
there's a
ass say what
delicate
you say.
balance. I think there's a delicate balance to piggyback on what Q said. There's a delicate balance, and there needs to be a conversation had. Because outside of a professional setting, someone on the street that you may encounter, like a Hamp in the grocery store, you may choose never to address. And
Mm-hmm.
is it disrespectful if you don't address? Is it not polite? Is it impolite? There's a lot of rules or unwritten rules that are most of us are unaware of, right? So it's a really delicate conversation to have, and I think feelings and emotions have to be removed when you have the conversation because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to get to a place where we are legislating speech, right?
Hmm.
Where we're out like the question you asked was obligation. Is there an obligation to address someone by their pronoun? Where do you draw the line to say if I don't address you? Is it disrespectful if I don't address you? Because that's where we get a little bit from our more fair-skinned counterparts, right? A lot of white people won't address you, like in a direct way, as sir or whatever, just because you're a black man or black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that disrespectful? Are they obligated to do it? I don't know, but I think it's a delicate conversation.
But to also be fair to your point, there's a difference in
Pete, one
not
second. One
addressing.
second. Caddy, go real quick, and then you could
Oh, my
chime.
bad. I'm sorry.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is all insightful. But I guess my views kind of align with Q. Me and my partner to this day, we have like conversations all the time about the gays and just the LGBTQ plus community, and we're just like, we're not a part of that. We just love each other. We're just gonna get
Mm-hmm.
married, and we're just gonna have babies, and so it's like, love is love, period.
Caddy, before
And the way I see it,
you,
love is love, respect is respect. I'm an HR practitioner, so organizationally, I have a responsibility to make sure that everyone within the organization is respected. Socially, my own views may differ in a sense, meaning if I were to come across a trans person and I had a child and my child questioned whether or not this person was a boy or a girl based off of what I perceived this person as being, if they
Mm-hmm.
looked like a boy in women's clothing, I would tell her, yes, that's a boy. Now, if the trans person came to me and said, hey, I'm not a boy, I'm a trans woman or whatever, I would say, okay, I hear you. I understand, but this is my daughter. And I'm going to tell my daughter what I want to tell my daughter. Okay, so we can go ahead and have this conversation separately, but sometimes I do feel like, especially now, man, like the LGBTQ plus community, like this movement is amazing, and I'm riding the wave now. Don't get it twisted. I'm riding with it, but it's almost as if it leaves no room for conversation. It leaves no room for someone to disagree with how they feel, or else they get deemed as being homophobic, and that's kind of scary because that's not the type of world we should be living in. We should be allowed to have our own opinions, but still also extend grace to each other too, and do things in a respectful manner.
okay, Corey, your thoughts?
Um,
Oh shit.
I didn't see any. What you said, Shaun? No, I didn't see any issue with at first I'm Master Corey, get my pronouns right. But anyway, no, I didn't see any problem with what you did, Hamp. I think I don't think it's disrespectful to not participate in, whatever it is that the transgender community, wishes you participate in. Like they may want you to call them whatever, but if you don't feel like you want to call them that, I don't think that's necessarily disrespectful. I don't think you have to participate in that. You can call them by what they were born, and I think that's fine. Um, yeah, so I don't see no problem with how you handled it. I would probably handle it similarly. I ain't got time to figure out, what you want to be called. I'm gonna call it from how I see it, and that's what it is. And that's that.
Yeah, and this was a big Andre the Giant ass nigga too. Like it was. I'm like, come on, my dude.
Right.
Climbing for my flag football team. That's what I wanted to ask.
Mhm.
Um, but it's interesting, right? And Caddy, your partner's a girl, right?
A woman.
A
Yes.
woman.
Ooh, corrected you.
Okay.
And how?
Put in the
Yeah,
fucking
very grown.
I got these buttons over here, Caddy. You don't. So just
Mhm. Corrected you.
um, yeah. So it is interesting, and it's so eggshell esque, right? It's very similar to like. Do y'all remember the feeling after God bless the dead, George Floyd? Man, we was in. All of us was showing out, right? Because we had a little leeway. During that time, at my company, I asked for Martin Luther King Day and Juneteenth, and we got both before it was even a federal holiday. Because we had a lot of leverage at that point too. You know, people, white people was walking around eggshells around us. The Karen movement really got going. We didn't have to take no shit for a long time. You know, and so with the LGBTQ movement, right, which is what's going now, right? It seems very similar to where like anything said, anything adverse, anything done, right, not to people's liking, you could get, quote unquote canceled, so on and so forth. Um, so P, I know you wanted to jump in, so I want to make sure I open the floor for that
Oh no, we good.
after Caddy. Remember, because Caddy was
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to. So yeah, I appreciate the candor, right? Because everybody, like, there's some dope ass views, you know what I mean? And oftentimes things get siloed, right? Where because you see, like, with Dave Chappelle,
I was just about to bring that up.
right, and a transgender woman who came out against him, right? And you think like, oh, everyone who, whatever their lifestyle is, or maybe within that group, or being classified in that group, is thinking like that, right? Is looking at Dave Chappelle like that, so on and so forth. So it's just good to see people who, again, they would classify in the group. It's just with a little bit different opinions, right? So I just want to say I appreciate it. I appreciate the candor. Any last thoughts on that topic? Everybody good?
No, I'm just gonna say shit. We ain't both finna lie to no kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right, right.
it
Yeah.
is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Name and address.
So how you gonna put yourself in a position to lie to your daughter?
Yeah.
That's really what that would have been.
Yeah.
And not
Right.
only that, how are you going to force me to have the conversation with my child now? Who's to say I'm ready to have this conversation with my child now? Like, don't do that. You're not paying no bills over here. Like,
Right.
let me spend my time with my child.
Word, word,
Yeah,
word.
tell them you ain't paying the bills and the church ain't paying the bills either.
That
There you go.
part.
Hey, Q, good shit. Way to tie shit together, man. You a fucking genius, girl. I appreciate it, man. Look, that's the second topic. So final topic. I have a bonus topic, but I'll probably say this. So final topic is what cliche ass topic, right? But I just want to end it off with this. Does body count actually matter?
Oh, Lord.
put him
Let's
in the
take the time. Woo.
Hey, hold on. You talk about Q. You just mentioned church. Hey, Caddy, don't call the Lord now. He ain't coming.
I'm like, does it even matter in 2021? Like, are we really still talking about this?
Yes, we are. Whoa, wait, does it
Absolutely,
matter? It absolutely matters. Whoa.
absolutely.
Hell
Oh,
yeah, it matters. What kind of question was that?
Corey, go
so
ahead.
why
Go
does it matter?
Why?
Yeah.
Because whenever I'm choosing my mate, I get to choose whatever qualities I find desirable. And if someone who doesn't give freely of themselves sexually is a desirable quality to me, then I should, have that information to make that choice.
But if you give freely of yourself,
Because
That
I was
she
gonna
might.
ask, do you match that energy?
Well, first
And
off,
that's
right?
the double
wait.
standard there.
No, that's not a double standard. My partner doesn't have to want the same things that I want in a mate, right? So just because that's what I want in a mate, that doesn't mean that's what my woman has to want in a mate, right? I might
Now,
want
See your
somebody who
loophole. I
I
see
might want
it.
somebody who works out 6 days a week. That don't mean my partner have to want somebody who work out 6 days a week. We don't have to want the same things.
Mm.
And it's not a double standard. We just want different things.
so
Mm.
with body count, would you want a woman who was a virgin?
I wouldn't
No.
mind it. It's not
You
necessarily.
don't. You
It's not.
Wait. So
Well,
let's
it's not my
bifurcate
target. I'm
it.
not out here looking for them. But I wouldn't turn one away. I wouldn't be like, oh, you don't have no experience. You out of here. Like, I mean, it is what it is.
So we out here buying cars without test driving is what I'm hearing. But you're
So
open to that.
listen.
I
Hold on.
bought a car without test driving. The car I currently own, my BMW, I bought without test driving. I ordered
I
it
did
from
too.
like 5 hours away. I
Hold
bought
on,
it on the
hold on,
internet.
hold
And I
on,
bought his car without test driving it.
hold on.
Fact.
Listen.
The car. We're talking about the cars.
We gotta go in order, right? So let everybody answer.
All right.
We're not gonna interrogate Corey because he answered. All right. So Lex, does body count matter?
No. As long as you're being safe, you don't have no diseases or nothing like that. I mean, do you live your life?
Is there a such thing as being safe if you smash like 500 people?
Wait,
That's like an
wait,
oxymoron.
wait.
Yes.
My bad. I'm waiting. I'm going to come
Organize
back to you.
convo. Okay.
All right.
Q, does body count matter?
Shit. God damn, him. Why you gotta come with this loaded ass question? Because,
Put him in
damn.
the bedroom. Get
I think in some ways it does, and then I think it depends on the individual. You know, it doesn't matter to some people, and to some it does. You know, I don't think it's like a general answer to that. I don't think there's one standard answer to that
Q.
because
That answer sounds like shut up. No, you shut up. No, that's not good enough. I
well,
need
no, I'm saying there are some people that can handle the fact that somebody had 500 bodies.
body count matter to you. How about that? God damn
Get specific.
Um, God damn. I have to say to me, no, because I don't know nobody who would still be alive if they smash 500. So, with that being said, what is the average person at?
Jenna 500, she's still alive.
Nobody really. And then at the end of the day, people are going to tell you what the fuck they want you to know anyway. You're not necessarily getting the truth from somebody. Somebody could tell you their body
Ooh,
count
that's a whole
15,
different
and the whole
topic right
time
there.
it's 100. So you're
That's
gonna
good.
take that person's core character into account when you decide to be their mate. So realistically, then no, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I like the way you chopped it up, right? You thought it out. That's good. I appreciate it. Kadi,
Welcome.
does body count matter?
Um, it does and it doesn't. It's never mattered to me in the past. No, seriously, listen. Like it's never mattered to me in the past. But if I'm dating someone and one of my homies, let's say you're just like, oh yeah, I know her, and I know a couple of others that know her. Yeah, that's gonna be a little problematic. So as long as you're discreet and you protect yourself, yeah, I'm okay. But if every time we go out, somebody's in the vicinity that you smashed, I don't know if I'd be able to deal with that.
Okay.
So as long as you don't know the people in the body count, then body count don't matter.
Corey,
Oh, my
you
bad.
heard the
Hey man,
sentence.
help me get these people through the list, man, so we can get
You
to the
got
open
something to
floor.
say, huh?
We got
I got a
questions
lot.
and the
They're
answers.
acting different.
Yeah, we getting a lot of BS answers on here, so I gotta dig deep on some of these. You and Caddy's
Furious
and Alex.
style. Does body count matter?
No.
Y'all lying.
Big cap.
With my cap.
Oh no.
No, I say no because will you ever really know?
Right.
That's another question. Just answer the first
No,
question.
no. Ain't no other question. Will you ever really know?
Well, if you got a
The answer is
dishonest
no.
person, then you got a bigger problem than body count. So
You
if your partner lie to
and there's
you,
no
you got a
way.
way bigger count
Can I
than
talk?
body count. My bad.
Can I talk?
Talking too much.
There's no way for you to know. What J. Cole say? Multiply by 3. There's no way for you to know.
Okay, Shaun, let's be clear. So if a woman you're dating, you
Wait.
ask the question and she says she's had 20 sexual partners,
Let her ask it. Let her go. Let them fight.
Hold on.
like
The
would
fight
you be
is
okay with
not
20?
on yet. The fight is
Say
not
again.
on yet.
Would you be okay with 20? I'm just saying, let's put a number to it. I know you may never know, but if she gives you a number, if she says 20,
bruh.
Kadi,
I want to know too. Hurry up.
Yeah.
Let's
let me
go.
answer Caddy. Let me answer Caddy. Let me answer Caddy. As it,
Okay, how
if
about if P, you want to concede? No, P.
I like to yield my time.
Yeah, yeah. P ready to get to the action. Happy throwing up the action.
Because I want to hear everybody's opinion. P, does body count matter?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Sean,
Now we
Caddy,
ready. Let's go,
ask
Caddy.
your question, asshole. Go ahead.
Okay, now I'm gonna multiply. Let's say 100. She said she had 100 sexual partners.
No.
Would you be okay with that?
no,
That's 100 dicks.
So body count
count
matters then. Your body count matters.
it. I mean,
Body count
like
matters, dude.
realistically, right? Like
That is
you're not
realistic.
you're not asking your partner this question.
Who not?
Realistically,
Who not? Yes, you are.
what?
Yeah.
Y'all still asking this question in 2021?
I ain't
You
really.
damn right.
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
What?
I mean, if
No,
you're
to
not
do
gonna
your
give it a real answer, elasticity will, right? Like your
Okay,
body.
so Master Corey, is it that it's dirty of the individual to have
Please don't call
sex
him
with
Master
that
Cool.
many people, or is it that that many people that she's had sex with, you don't want to have shared a body with somebody else? Is that what it is?
For one, I do think it's dirty for her to many people. Also, I could just find someone with less mileage on it, and that's what I would choose to do. I got options out here, so why get a high mileage vehicle? You know,
Okay, so let me ask you this, Corey. Let me ask you
yeah.
this. She says she only been with two, but
hmm
one of them she been with 1,000 times.
That's
Not the same.
respectable. I
That's
can
a
go with that.
relationship.
We love
Yeah, that's a
consistency.
relationship. Yeah.
Oh,
She
okay, so physically, is that any different from sleeping with
Right.
100 niggas?
So this was
Yeah.
this not a physical. My objection wasn't physical, like that would be worn out and that it wouldn't be no good for me. That wasn't my objection. My objection is I don't want her if that's the way she thinks about herself, that she gives of herself that freely to any and everyone. Then I don't want her.
And
Yeah.
That's
that's
not the
not
woman for me. But it wasn't a physical thing.
I
So
was
is it
thinking
is
about
it a
elasticity, and so to be technical with that,
elasticity.
there is a difference, right? If you fucking the
Okay,
same,
you crazy,
you
man.
fucking the same dick, it's the shape of that dick. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. To be honest, you're not gonna murder it every time. Let's be real. Like you're not. So one dick versus many dicks. You
Yeah.
listen. You gotta pick and choose your battles here.
Same. That's like when you if a car has one driver, they can sell it for more, right?
Yep.
When a car comes from a rental car company, because people drive in so many different ways, the value drops, right?
Great
Because
analogy.
so many people
Great
manipulate it.
analogy.
Right? So
that's
if
that's
you
Wait a
have
not
minute, wait a minute, wait a
true.
minute. That's a
Come
bad analogy.
on.
It's a fact. It's a
That's
fact.
a that's a bad analogy.
that is correct,
Because if a car got 180,000 miles on it, it just has 180,000
no,
miles
that's
on it.
not true. That's not true. If a car has, because that's why they say how many owners on a car,
You
right?
can search
You
for
ever
that.
look at Carfax?
Show me your whole facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how many owners matters to the value. Because even when you see a car that has 6 owners, you're less likely to purchase if the same car was available with one owner. You're not going to value them the same, right? Just if you put yourself in that particular situation. Now, I do have a question. Because Shaun asked the question, I was hoping he was going to put a different caveat in there. Corey, what if the girl was with 2 niggas, but you know both of them?
Hmm. Uh,
What you gonna say now?
no. They got
Said
levels to
no.
knowing somebody. Like I
You
mean,
ain't
know as if I seen them out somewhere before, or know as in like
you
I've been to their
That
house
goes
before.
back to Caddy's point about being in a place, and I agree with her about it doesn't matter. I don't want to be in a room or a setting, and then it's just all this pussy around that you've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So even if she only had two dudes, but I knew both of them, I'd probably pass on her. I mean, I was just like again, like I said in the beginning, that it's no need for me to accept any less than desirable traits in my mate. So that's not a
But there's only
desirable.
2 guys, but you
Yeah,
know them. That's the problem.
yeah, that's not a desirable trait. No.
Like I
P.
don't ever want to have a dinner party or like be out with
Right.
my friends and I'd be like, "Oh, you had her too?" Or I'm sorry, for me, you had him too?
Yeah,
No, we're not doing that.
yeah.
Now, Alex, I know you marry all respect, right? But now, from a woman, though, if a guy had 2 partners only and you knew both of them, is it the same?
I mean,
No, right then it's not. You see how fast
no.
we answer like that.
Because I mean, if they, I mean, obviously they liked what they had, so they weren't going elsewhere. It was consistent good sex.
So it doesn't matter really.
I think maybe if they was in a relationship. I don't want to be in the same space as you.
Yeah.
It's interesting how no one's factored in cleanliness. Like to Hamp's point about the car. If a car got 180,000 miles, but it's a Toyota, that's a brand new car
Right.
because it's a higher quality than the average American car. So if a person is out there giving of themselves, you got to consider how many years the time span within that. You got to consider how well they're keeping themselves up because you could only have 5 partners, but if you a dirty motherfucker, that's
But you
that's
don't have
all.
no way of knowing how clean they were during this time. So you just that's something you'll never be able to know.
But
Just because we got access to
I
laptops.
feel you will because it's like what you were saying before with like the quality of person. If she gives of herself so freely, you wouldn't want her. But if she's at a space where she's matching your energy, none of that shit is gonna matter because she's a new person now. And now, if you was around a girl who was giving of herself freely, you just wouldn't find her attractive. Period. Whether she had one nigga or 50. Am I right? Or no?
That's why I said Q. That's why I said it. What really does it matter? Because if you feel like she the person for you, and she give you a body count number, is that going to change?
Yes.
Yes. She's not the person for me if she had a large number. She's no longer the person for me.
Yeah, but let's be real,
Thank you
right?
for the
Now
streets.
here's a few factors. If you don't know any of the niggas, maybe you can give some grace. And if the proximity isn't the same, you can
Yeah.
give some grace. So
Exactly.
if she caught wild bodies in Texas, but we ain't never going to Texas, that's for damn sure. It may be better be like, all right, I could fade this. And if you don't know none of them niggas, you might be able to fade, something, right? But you're gonna have to deal with it. As men, we have to deal with it, right? Cause I don't care what, we don't want nobody touching our women before or after us once we find the one that we think we supposed to be with.
For
I
sure.
But
don't
you
That's
care
why I
see
what.
how
say.
like
That's why I say it doesn't matter. Who asked? As
yeah,
a
I mean
man,
it's
Corey, I'm not talking about you. Who asked? You actually asked the question, like, hey,
We
Yeah.
don't ask it.
we getting kind of serious.
I
Yeah,
mean,
We
I
getting
don't
kind of
even think it
serious.
comes up
So
then. It
Sean,
can come up in casual conversation, but what my issue is how it's a double standard, how men associate a woman's value
Mhm.
by how many bodies she has attached to her. But if we try to do the same thing, it's like, nah, like I was just doing my thing. I was single. And my thing is like, okay, well, if the value structure is based off of bodies, then it should count the same. So Corey, if you have a lot of bodies, that means your value is at negative 10. So,
well,
like why isn't it like equal?
Well, first off, I mean, I could be valuing that activity differently than women value it. I value lack of experience as a plus. You may value experience as a plus. So we could just be valuing the activity differently. But if you do value it the same, it's up to women to then hold men accountable by not choosing men who have high body counts, and then men will be less likely to participate in that activity as much as they do. But right now, there's no consequence for having a high body count for a man, so we do it.
That's
So,
true.
as someone who values lack of experience, are you now admitting to the world you lack experience?
No, no,
Like
no.
that's a value of yours, right?
I value that in my partner. I didn't say I had talking about nothing about what I have. So
No, no,
again,
you said I value lack of experience. That's something I value. That was a
it,
quote.
in the
And do
people that
you
I
value?
choose, let me add the caveat in there. In the people that I choose, I value lack of experience. Yes, I do. That has nothing to do with my life.
See, that was a good
And
question.
do you also do you
Wait,
value
hold.
experience?
I also value people that can cook. I can't do that. I value people that can do all kinds of things I can't do. So the fact that I don't have that trait doesn't mean that I don't value it.
Mm.
So
Now, go ahead, Alex.
do you value lack of experience because it sets the bar lower for what you have to bring to the table
Not at
in
all.
regards
Not
to
at
sex.
You tried it.
I'm just saying, because if someone doesn't have that much experience, you can come there being subpar, and to her, she could be like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best." You don't have to
Nah.
go. You don't have to go all out because she has lack of experience.
That's an interesting counterpoint, Alex,
It
because
was
you
not.
know,
It
if
wasn't. It
if she
wasn't
had
interesting.
experience, she would know the difference between a good sexual partner and a mediocre sexual
Well,
partner.
as long as she enjoys what we're doing, that's all that matters. So I don't need her to be able to have 1,000 other people to compare it to. If she enjoys our interactions, then we good. So
So she's okay with mediocre, then she's good with you. She's A-all.
yeah, I
And I
think
would be, and for
Cool.
me, I would be more concerned about the girl who has had the two consistent partners, because obviously there's something that they're doing good that's making her run back
a relationship.
constantly.
Maybe they're in a committed relationship.
No,
So
even if
maybe
no, let's say they're
Talk
not in a
your shit,
relationship.
Alex.
They're not in a committed relationship. This is my piece. This is my
oh, then
person that I
I might
call.
not want her either. Then so if she just give it herself freely without
Oh,
requiring
Corey, just be
commitment,
glad
Oh,
you married.
stop.
To
Just
two
be
guys?
glad.
I may not
That's
want her either.
so the body count don't matter to Corey either, right?
What are you talking about? I just said it do. It
You said
absolutely.
she gave you the example, said two dudes. If it's two dudes, but one of them just been her sex piece, you said no, I don't want that.
Right. So no, I said yeah because this is now something else that matters. In what type of situations do you give yourself? So if she had 5 dudes, that might not matter, but she had 5 one night stands, that does matter. So it's more nuance to it than just a number. The circumstances of how she got to that number matter as well.
It's giving Handmaid's Tale. That's what it's giving.
No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? You could be like 10, but if she smashed 10 dudes the first night, then that's a little different.
Yeah. So time matters, proximity.
Everything matters.
If you
I
know
just
them,
want to see your lab core results.
Let's see.
That's all.
What is that going to what is that going to tell me? What does that tell you?
yeah,
Your
and
lab
also,
core results?
Well, that's from the cleanliness perspective.
That's
yeah,
tell you what I
If
currently
you
got. I don't
taking
tell you
the
what I
shit,
had last year.
yeah.
But,
if
true,
Don't
but if you
tell
got rid of it, cool.
that don't mean I don't clean it all. Don't tell me about what I had last year, the year before that, when I was wilding out.
Question. What do you think about? And maybe this is too much, but so like Caddy's point about the double standard, how women don't put the same value on it as Corey said, and if they do, they certainly don't talk about it or address it in the same way men do. What about the biology of it? So like, and again, if I'm off base, let me know. But we make what 10 million sperm a day. We can pollinate as many eggs as we want to, right? And keep it pushing. Gestation takes 10 months for a woman. So is it totally out of line that we are more, for lack of a better term, like promiscuous and women usually can't do the same thing? Or does it make sense just based on like biology or science, whatever word is most fitting?
I think it comes down to like emotions. I don't believe that there are. I see that's a fine line. The women on this might hate me after this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't think there's a double standard. I think that because I don't believe that men are as emotional as women. So I talk about this often with people, like, and I'm gonna just shift gears a little bit when it comes to cheating, right? They say there's a cheating double standard. Men can have as many women as they want, and women can't. But when women cheat, it's usually coming from an emotional place. When a man has multiple women, he's not necessarily attaching himself emotionally to those women.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, but this is what I've witnessed over time. I've had different conversations with men over time. Um, so it's not the same. So what a man does in the street, a woman can't do because she's going to take it in a different direction. And that man pride is going to be hurt way more than this. Women tend to be stronger emotionally as well. So that man pride is going to be hurt way more if you're cheating on him than if he cheats on you.
Yeah, that's I think that's real. And also like this Q, right? And everybody can jump in as soon as I say this. You guys may hate the analogy. Um, every time I throw a house party, nobody ever take all their shit with them. I'm always stuck returning something, cleaning up something, they leave a bottle, so on and so forth. And I feel like because for women it's emotional attachment a lot of times with sex. Every time a nigga go inside of her, he leaves something in there. He leaves something, you know, with her as some little point of it, right? Because like Q said, a lot of the times it's attached to more than just the physical.
Yeah,
I
if a
mean,
woman starts to cheat, she's probably fed up with something. So she's not just cheating, like she in a whole nother relationship with whoever she's sleeping with emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is what I've witnessed over time.
Yeah,
Um,
women were more calculated with things like that.
right, right.
If we're gonna do it, and if we're going to think about it, this is this
Uh-huh.
what I really want to do, and that could be just how we value our bodies. But if we're going to do it, we've thought about it. And versus men, it's just like, all right, I can get in and get out, and I'm gonna go about my business. I think when men find out, which is what I think, it's a bigger blow to a man's ego when their woman does cheat, step out, whatever, because they know that they've thought about it.
Yeah.
They know that there is an emotional tie. They know there was something that you didn't do. And that's when the men start to compare themselves. What does he have that I didn't have? Am I not satisfying her sexually? Am I not stimulating her mind anymore? Like what made her do that? And how did I miss all of this?
Yeah. I ain't going back. Ain't no forgiveness.
I don't think men normally, or not say normally, I don't think men typically do go back. Women are usually the ones that'll take a man back, cheat multiple times, and I still love him, great. When a woman cheats, it's like, well, shit, I'm done now. Now she's dirty. Now she's tainted, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that, I believe, is because, as you said, like men are going to have all these questions. Am I not satisfying? But they're never going to vocalize it. It'll never be verbalized. It will seldom be said to the girl or to the woman. It's damn sure not going to be said to the friend.
P, is it the same in same sex relationships?
Well, as spokesperson for all the gays, um, uh, my experience. Well, shit, I've never been cheated on. I don't cheat. My experience of in observing,
Yeah.
yes, for the more masculine man,
Yeah.
top whatever, um, will probably be like nah, or it'll be less of an emotional thing and more like revenge. Now we're just fucking to be fucking, and who's doing it better and blah 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 blah.
Mm.
And I think that's also because it's all been said already. Like for most men, and I'll say this for most men, gay, straight, whatever you identify as,
Yeah.
sex is not an emotional thing. Sex
Yeah.
is an action. Sex is means to get a nut. For
Yeah.
women, there's an emotion to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the only difference between us and y'all.
Mm. Mm.
I'd push back on that a little bit. I mean, there are emotions tied to sex. Um, it, if you with your woman and she's special to you, that is an emotional thing when you having. I mean, it may not be every time you have sex, but there is an emotional tie to your woman. But I think that's part of the reason why there's so many insecurities that happen with adultery is because she doesn't see you as just this non-emotional sex tool, right? Like you connect with her on a different level if it's your woman and she's heard about it, right? So you connect with her differently. So she doesn't necessarily think that you're just some random robot out here picking and sticking. You know what I mean? Like she feels some emotion. You feel some emotion with your person anyway. I mean, if that's your person, you do have that kind of connection with them. So it's not just a emotionless sexual being that men are. We do connect in that level at some point. But largely, I would agree that there is no attachment. But when you are with your person and you do feel some type of way about them, you love them or you really like them a whole lot, there is an emotional attachment.
Yeah. But like you just acknowledged, by and large, though, right? I think the outlier and then the outlier situation is the relationship. But we're talking about
Right.
body count, and body count often increases because you're not in a relationship. You know.
Yeah, well, you're not in a relationship. Yeah.
So I think P was correct. I mean, I think you're correct. but that's much more specific. I think on average, sex is not emotional for us
It's not.
because it's way too many partners. Like you don't come on. I mean, come on, man. Like we
Well,
don't
you have to compartmentalize it though too. I mean, you can't just say sex is emotionless. That's not accurate.
when we're referring to men's body counts, it's emotionless for sure.
Well, we're talking about two different things. The last topic was body count. This topic was infidelity, right?
Oh, I set the goddamn body the topics now.
Yeah, and you jumping backwards.
But even
Yeah,
with
it was being
infidelity, I don't think
spiritual
it's to
infidelity.
say there's no emotions involved at all. Like this is
Right.
not an absolute statement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, you have emotions, but are men as attached to their emotions for sex as women are? Absolutely not.
Correct.
You have
Correct.
emotions, like you cry, I
Yeah.
guess, whatever. But like you don't. Oh, all right. Master Corey doesn't cry, but the rest of
Yeah.
us do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just still, it's an easier action for a man to cheat.
Yeah. Is it easier for men to detach themselves emotionally and physically? Yes, 100%. 100%.
Hemp, was your question though initially? Was it having to do like who do you think is more sexual, a man or a woman, naturally?
Well, oh yeah. So when I said the biology, yeah, like is it does it is the reason why women often don't have body counts and the judgment is there and they can easily forgive is because maybe innately you guys know we're built like that. And innately you guys aren't, and your biology doesn't speak to the fact that you would be, because sex, one of the byproducts of sex is getting pregnant or having a baby, and it takes 10 months. We make 10 million sperm a day, and we can pollinate as many eggs as we have access to.
Well,
You know,
it'd be the inverse of emotions, right? We're more control of our emotions, but they're more control physically of their biology, of their physiological attraction to sex. I mean, they're better at it than we are.
No, what are you
They,
talking about?
women are better at controlling their sexual attraction than men are. That's
Well,
pretty
yeah,
simple.
we're better at controlling our reaction to our sexual attraction to
Yeah, I
others
think
than
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
better, is it natural for them? That's my question. But also, are they? And then, if I'm wrong about the biology, are they only better because of social construct?
That's a good question.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, social construct definitely plays a role. I mean, how society views women and infidelity is different from how society views men and infidelity. It's almost accepted and
But
expected.
not even
And
promiscuity, Patty, more so, right? Like we can be promiscuous. You guys get judged if you are.
yeah, yeah, we definitely get judged differently. And in a sense, we
As you
sometimes feel
should.
like we have more to lose too. Like we really think through the shit before we actually do it. Like, okay, if we have a family, if we have kids, we're really factoring all of that in before we actually decide to physically cheat. Because we may just go ahead and slide in on the emotional cheating more frequently or more fluidly, but the physical piece, like we really have to think that through a lot more, unless we a hoe.
That's
And if we a
interesting.
hoe, then
Wait, come on, Ho.
That's interesting. That last point you made is interesting. I wonder if anybody want to comment on that, like the work husband shit like that, right? That can sometimes be worse. Um, so is that considered cheating? What
Is
you
No.
this
think?
an individual specific question or a general question?
Say it again, P. Sorry.
Is this an individual question or a specific, like a general question? Does it matter to you or does it matter in general?
Hmm.
I wonder what the better answer gonna be.
Because words have meaning. If you
So,
ask for general, you're gonna get a general response.
yeah.
Yeah.
oh
Can
yeah,
your wife have a work husband and you be okay with that?
no, hell no, no, no,
I,
hell
I
no.
don't know that you can control that.
Can I go to school? I bring her lunch. We go to lunch. You
Dude,
can't.
that you ain't there all day. You don't know who she
Right.
talked to in
Right.
between classes.
You
And,
gotta meet
like,
You're
once
not
or
at the
something.
PTAs. You're not at the IEPs.
Whatever, nigga. It's wishful thinking. People be acting like, okay, I get it. Don't matter to me. I'm gonna do what I can do. Nobody can't call my house. No, hell no, none of that.
But I also think there's something to be said for that, right? Like I think it's a little bit batshit crazy if you're trying to be at the person's job all the time. You want to be in
Mhm.
every like crevice of their life.
Yeah.
Back the fuck up. But
Yeah.
if if you're doing a genuine effort to like spend time and to make that person feel desired and loved and cherished, you ain't got shit to worry about.
Yeah.
Now, can my nigga have a work whatever? Hell no.
Right.
Hell no.
Not a thing.
Not at all. You sound
Mhm.
stupid. They sound stupid. Like we're not doing that
Yeah.
because like I think if you allow for things to happen, like you become permissive. So when the shit ends up turning into
wait, they
real,
can have they can have boundaries in that relationship though. Like that can end
if
at
I
work. That don't
crack
mean
the
they don't have
door,
to go to.
if I crack the door and allow you to have whatever boundaries you think you have, and that shit becomes fully open at some point, I'm whooping ass, and I'm just gonna be mad at myself because I left that door cracked.
Yeah.
They don't have to hang out outside of work. They don't have to text.
Right.
They don't have to phone
You know
call. They don't
what's
have to
so
do
bad?
any of those things. They could just simply, hey, we're at work. We sit next to each other,
Nine to
and we just communicate and share our lives like we like work best friends. Like,
There's a
9 to 5.
difference between work friends and work bae.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I say you
Yeah.
can't have
if
Yeah.
friends.
it,
I say you can have work bae.
So wait. Let's
what?
make it real. Pete. Remember you just advised me. I'm gonna make sure I keep that going forward. So Corey,
Hmm.
Millie's at work.
Hmm.
She going lunch with the same dude. He texting her the same shit. Remember what happened at work? It's only just at work. They buying each other lunch, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Right? He. You may see a text where he say hashtag blessed, right? And then
What?
wait, because I want to build the narrative. And then guess what? She texts you. You say, "Babe, I'm about to get this car." And guess what she texts you? Hashtag blessed. Now she learned the shit from that nigga. You saying all that's copacetic as long as it's just at work.
So some of the stuff you said was out of bounds, but like I said when I was talking to Pete, like you can set the boundaries on what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. Like him buying her work, that's like a date, right? You know, when you buy another woman a meal, that's a date, right? So they don't get to go on dates. Like if they both bought lunch, they can eat lunch together in the lunchroom. You know, like that's fine. Like you don't get to go
In the
take her
Now
lunch.
you
out.
trying to direct where she can be at work.
Right.
You
No,
don't.
no, 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 no. I'm
So
I'm
let's say
I'm
it's a
I'm
coffee. It's a
I've
coffee. You're about to go get a coffee. You want one?
nah.
Are you
If they don't
being
have
polite?
nothing in the
Then
office.
that's work
Or
day.
my personal favorite, since we're
Well, yeah,
friends,
that's fine.
since we're work friends,
I have
y'all
friends
have
that
an
work who.
argument, y'all get into it or whatever. Now she venting to him about you.
Now that's
That's
just
okay.
well,
Put him in
so
the fucking bed.
Because you vent to your friends, like you tell your friends.
right. I think depending on the work environment, your woman may be doing it anyway, and it may not be to a person of the opposite sex. It may be to another woman, like or to
Yeah.
whatever her friend, a real friend,
That's
and like
different.
so any of that could come in between y'all
That's different,
relationship.
bro. That's a
It's
girl.
not different.
That's
Girls
it's,
hate. They could be trashing you behind. Like, girl, you don't need that nigga.
okay.
You know, like
Niggas
that.
saying the same thing is a totally different ball game.
Mm, either way, they
Corey,
plant negative
Corey,
seeds in her head.
I'm looking forward to the postcard or the Christmas card from you, your wife, and her nigga. Like I want all
No,
three
no,
of
no,
y'all in
no.
it.
The the dude at work. So I say so at the end of the day, I'll say this for real. Like your woman needs another male to consult with, right? And it's
Need.
Expound.
That's what
she
we're for.
well, well maybe work bay is gay. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't what does Hamp mean by work bay? I don't know. Does it mean like another attractive dude who she would smash if I wasn't there? Like what do you mean?
I mean, people you get attracted to. See, we like people for a plethora of reasons, right? They could be
Mhm.
attractive. Like none of my friends are like not handsome, right? At least I can't think of any.
So what do you mean by work bay? Does
Hold on.
does that mean attractive man?
Just be quiet, Master
All
Corey.
right.
All right, so none of my friends are not handsome, right?
Mhm.
And our circle is the same kind of. Everybody's what's that called? High value, right? right? And then we go to play
Okay, Kevin
football,
Samuels.
huh?
I said, okay, Kevin.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not even.
we all in this, getting this money. So, and then we go to football, right? Corey, Shaun, and them same type of dudes with no front teeth, right? Hang out together, and they
Right.
drinking Jameson on the sideline and all this other shit.
Right.
They in the same group too, so we
Mhm.
group together. So if
Mhm.
your wife with you, that the nigga at work gonna remind you, gonna have some of the same qualities. It's
That's not
only
necessarily true. My
yes,
wife could work with P, and she could be like, "P is my work bae," right? And then maybe her and P like talk about me when I ain't around. Maybe they go eat lunch together. Maybe they go do
But
other shit
it's
together.
easy for you to say that because you know me.
yeah.
You already know what this gives. Now, if she's hanging out with one of your real nigga friends, like
Mhm.
somebody like that, right?
Or y'all
Somebody
hanging
that
out? Y'all having lunch?
hanging like again having coffee. It's really nothing. It's really easy to be like, I bought coffee for everybody, but here's your coffee. I got
But
to just
also, but
everyone.
also P, but also P, you a high value man.
Mhm.
You handsome. You got your shit together. So it's the same. The orientation don't define, right? It's the same though.
Yeah. So my point is, if she was friends with P, I wouldn't have no problem with that.
But if it was Shaun in there,
Okay,
Sean,
so
Sean's no
so
good. He can't be trusted.
how would your wife feel if your work babe, not even your work babe, but your female work friend decides to make you a home cooked meal? She ain't bring nobody else nothing, and your wife finds out. Is she gonna be okay with that?
I would hope that she would be happy about it because she didn't
Or
make
are
me
you
no
not even
meal.
gonna tell her? Are you not even gonna tell her?
I
If
would
she says,
tell
"What
her.
you have for lunch today?"
You know, at the end of the day, if it's really truly a friendship or a work relationship, I'd probably introduce them so that maybe they can have an understanding to ease
So,
But your wife
that
is gonna know.
discomfort.
She's
listen,
gonna
I'm
she'll
like, yo,
what
know.
come here,
time is
let's
it?
all meet for happy hour.
We just
Well,
get
I'm
It's
Fourth of
past
serious.
it's
July.
past Corey. It's past Corey bedtime. He making shit.
Right,
Yeah,
because he's
well,
sleep. He's
Corey, you
sleep.
want
He ain't
Corey
even
back.
talking real right now.
He making
I'm
shit
I'm
up at
I'm
this
being dead serious. What are you talking about? I've had it happen, all right? So I'm
so,
telling you, like yo, we gonna all go get a drink for happy hour. Boom. Like, cause at the end of the day, I would be lying if I'm telling you that I don't have interactions with females at work. If there isn't a chick at work that I talk to about relationship stuff, there is, right? So it's no point in me lying to you about it, right? There's a chick that I may go to walk to the park with and sit in the park and have a drink of coffee with. There is. So now it's either I'm gonna lie about it or I'm gonna be honest about it.
okay, we understand, but we know that's not a real thing. So,
It's a real thing.
in the words of Bronxdale,
Put him in the fucking bedroom. Get him out of here.
Q, what's your thoughts on this before we come to a close?
I think that shit is fucking inappropriate.
Thank you. Thank you.
You niggas do not get along with y'all coworkers, boy. I tell you, y'all live in y'all work in some dysfunctional work environments.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah,
Hold up, my woman just got back from going to happy hour with her coworkers, and she didn't even go into work today. She worked from home, so she had to put on some clothes to go to happy hour. I didn't ask her who was gonna be there, none of that. I don't care. Like, they're her
Is a
work friends.
coworker a man or a
I don't
woman?
know. I think it was a group of them. I don't know. I don't care. Like,
plural.
So
I,
you ain't
she
even
said,
want to
You're going
know
crazy.
where your wife was and who she was with, just in case if something
she
happens to her.
said, I'm going to
Y'all
happy
missed the
hour.
part where he said what he be doing at work.
No,
It don't
she
matter.
no. So this is real talk. This is literally today. She said she came down. She said I'm going to happy hour with some coworkers. I was like, all right, cool. She asked me if I wanted to come. I was like, absolutely not.
Now I will say I respect the transparency and the trust level, right? Like I think that's healthy. It's very, very healthy. Now, I do think that too much freedom, not saying you gotta be crazy, but too much freedom allows for things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Don't create temptation.
Like
Yep.
everything, like, okay, yes, you have work friends. I need to know your every move because I trust you.
Right.
Mhm.
Give me a reason not to trust you.
Yeah,
And now we have a problem.
Mm.
But
Gotcha.
again, I can say I trust you at work or whatever the case may be. But if I notice that your phone going off at 12 at night, one
That's
from the
inappropriate.
same person every day,
no,
or oh my God, look what so and so gave me. That's not odd to you.
Yeah, that's inappropriate. That's why I said you just got to set up the boundaries of what that looks like. Like, Yeah, there's no need for any man to be hitting on my woman at 11, 12 o'clock at night, or even really just after work at all. Like if y'all work friends, keep that at work. Like y'all don't need to be social friends. Y'all not friends, so y'all don't need to be hitting each other up at any time during the night.
Can they become social
No,
friends?
no, because that was never the intent. They're only friends out of proximity at work.
You can only be friends from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, outside of that, she don't have male friends. The only time she get to hang out with males outside of that is when she hang out with me and my friends.
Facts. Thank you. Hey man, this fucking panel, man, did an awesome, very decent job, man. I really
You was decent.
so as we come to a close,
Peace and blessings, everybody. Y'all have a good night. I'm hungry, man.
fucking bathroom, man. Like,
Just have a good week. Have a good week, the rest of y'all. Cause I can't with you.
y'all niggas seen Jerry Springer before. Jerry ain't never did this to us.
Listen.
Make good fucking choices and don't be like
Keep the body count low and don't settle for less. If you don't have it, don't pay them tithes. That's all I got.
Hilarious. Y'all stupid. This was a great podcast, Camp. I appreciate you having me up here. If you guys are on Facebook, follow me at Comedian Q Turner. And if you're on IG, follow me at Official Studio Q. Studio Q Official.
Nice.
Do what works for you. Go to church if you feel like going to church. Be a hoe if you feel like being a hoe. And have friends outside of work with your coworkers or not. I mean, just do whatever you want to do. Do you.